The only reason I work out at all is so that I can eat what I want to eat.
Absolutely.
That's what it comes down to.
Same. That's and if you put bacon on anything, it's automatically better.
Right. It's a win.
Well, there's a good chance you're watching or listening your favorite college football podcast if you're watching or listening this one. Man in Black. Josh Mancuso, and you are, sir?
Todd Blackledge.
It's good to have you here. My handsome, all-knowing co-host of this show. So it's been a good, interesting, exciting week of college football.
Yeah,
not
for sure. Yeah, I mean, there were a couple, first of all, there were a couple really strong statement games, okay? I mean, Georgia doing what they did to Florida in the cocktail party, 43-20, but it was 36-7 at one point. And everybody was saying, how are they going to be without Brock Bowers? They're all world tight end. They didn't miss a beat. I mean, their quarterback, Carson Beck, threw for over 300 yards. Ladd McConkey was a stud at wide receiver, 6 catches for 135 yards and a touchdown. So that was a very impressive win by Georgia when a lot of people were kind of wondering if they were going to be vulnerable or not, particularly without one of their stars. But, I thought they were great. I thought the other major statement game was Oregon going into Salt Lake City and beating Utah the way they did, 35-6. I mean, first of all, have you ever been to a game in Salt Lake City? Have you ever been out there to Rice-Eccles Stadium?
I have not, but I'd love to.
So it's beautiful. Obviously the mountains, it's a beautiful setting in a very beautiful city, Salt Lake City. It's not a huge stadium, but it's very loud. They have a tremendous student section. They're very loud. And this is a team in Utah that had won 18 straight games at home. And so they're very difficult to beat. And 27 of their last 28 they've won. And Oregon just went in there and dismantled them. Totally shut down the running game. Bo Nix had another big-time game. But it was really the Oregon defense that was most impressive in how they were able to take care of business up there.
Yeah, absolutely. Impressive win for them, for sure. Big win for Kansas over Oklahoma.
Yes.
Man.
Yeah, that was fun. That was fun. Lance Leopold is the head coach at Kansas. I don't know if he'll be there that much longer. I think there's going to be a lot of other schools, maybe some bigger name schools that are going to try to make a run at him. But he has done a great job of just not only rebuilding the program, just building the belief. I mean, Kansas was a doormat for so many years. And I mean, they actually are not only pretty good, but I mean, they believe they're good, and they believe that they can play at the highest level in the Big 12. And they proved that at home. It was just a great win for them. And they're fun to watch. I don't know if you ever watched them offensively. Yeah. They're very creative. They do a lot of funky things, formations and shifts and motions. And, they're not standard looking offense, but they're exciting and they're fun. And, that was their first win over a top 10 team at home since 1984. So, I mean, wow. Just an incredible weekend for Jayhawk fans, with what the football team did there.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kansas was one of those teams for a long time that you could guarantee on your schedule you're going to get a win. Right, you're in the Big 12, and you're like, all right, we know we're going to get wins.
Or they were your homecoming game. There were times where Kansas was maybe 4 or 5 teams' homecoming game. That's never a good thing. But
imagine playing their away schedule, and all of them are homecoming games for the other team.
Right,
that's unbelievable. Yeah. UCLA wins against Colorado. That was. I guess I kind of thought that would happen. Not sure, Colorado's hanging in there, doing their thing, but certainly come a long way from where they were last year. But Dion is saying he needs new offensive line, and he says he needs the Rose Bowl to pay him and the Colorado team for all the bling that was stolen from their locker rooms. So I don't know if if the Rose Bowl is going to fork out any money for stolen jewelry. I doubt it, but I would think that Colorado would have some people guarding the locker room to begin with. How did they lose all this expensive jewelry out of the locker room? So,
I don't know. Yeah, in fact, I don't know at all because I never even heard that until you just told me that. I didn't even know that happened.
Yeah, they had a bunch of jewelry stolen out of the locker room, and now Dion is saying that they want the Rose Bowl Stadium to pay them money to replace all that stuff. But I want to know, where did you keep all your jewelry when you were playing college football?
I didn't have jewelry. I still don't have jewelry. I've got a wedding ring. I've got a couple watches that I never wear, and my national championship ring, I just keep at home. So.
Do you ever wear that thing out just to impress some people? Like, hey, look at this giant thing on this rock on my finger. It's national championship ring, buddy.
Yeah. Well, first of all, it's not as big as they are today. It's nowhere near like a Super Bowl ring. I'm proud of it and glad I have it. I do wear it every now and then, particularly sometimes if I do a Penn State game, I'll wear it, but I don't wear it too often.
Yeah, you ought to wear it to all your Penn State games to say, "Hey guys, remember when we used to win these?" Yeah, let's get back to doing that again. Okay.
So there were a couple other games that I thought were really impressive to me. Louisville winning a big game at home. They shut out Duke, and they had a disappointing loss to Pitt a couple weeks ago. But Jeff Brom has done a great job with this Louisville team. Their defense played great. They got a running back, Jawar Jordan, who had a career high 163 yards and 2 touchdowns. So that was an impressive win. Here's Louisville sitting there at 7-1, and all the talk in the ACC is about Florida State, and rightfully so. They had another big statement win. They blew out Wake Forest 41-16, and so Florida State is now 8-0. But when you look at the rest of their schedule, they go to Pitt next week, should win that game. Then they play Miami, North Alabama, that's a given, and they finish a game against Florida. So those Miami game and the Florida game are both going to be really challenging games. Only one of them is a conference game, but those will be challenging games for Florida State down the stretch. If they win, if they take care of business and finish undefeated or potentially even with one loss in there, they got a good chance to try to make it into the college football playoff.
Yeah, that would be something else to have them in the playoff. That'd be pretty cool. And we're going to talk about the college football playoff here in just a minute. We'll get into the rankings, which will be coming out. Probably by the time this podcast is out, the rankings will be out. But we're gonna go ahead and talk about who we think in just a minute, who we think might be in that top 4 plus the next 2 waiting in line. But one more thing from this past weekend was Cal and USC.
Oh, what a game! What
do you think about Cal's coach calling to go for 2 to win the game instead of kicking the extra point to tie it? That was a gutsy move. I don't know if it's gonna. Obviously, it didn't work out. So, what do you think about that?
Well, my understanding, and I really like Justin Wilcox, the coach. I think he's a good guy, really good guy, good football coach. But my understanding was they're down to their 3rd string quarterback and their 5th string running back. Okay. So he's got to be thinking, we don't match up well taking this game to overtime, against Caleb Williams and what they can do offensively. You put them with the ball on the 25-yard line. We're going to have a hard time matching them in that. So I think he just decided now's as good a time as any. We've got momentum. We just scored with 50 seconds left or whatever. Let's go for the win right here. And it was a close play. It was a pass deflection, at the last minute that knocked it away to preserve the victory. And that would have been 3 losses in a row for USC if they don't get it done there in the last 50 seconds. So, they and it's funny because, you watch that, you look at the numbers, people remember what they looked like against Notre Dame a couple of weeks ago, how bad they looked. And you think, man, their season, they're having a terrible season. They're out of it. But the reality is they've lost 2 games. But only one of those was a conference game. The other one was Notre Dame. And they're sitting there in a good position with Washington, who's undefeated, coming into the Coliseum this week to play. I mean, they could be right still in the picture for the Pac-12 championship game. Now, I don't know with the 2 losses, they're out of the college football playoff discussion, but they could still win their conference.
They can still win the Pac-12. That's true.
Yeah.
I don't see it happening, but but it could happen. No doubt about it. But this, almost lost their third game, and to Cal, not a super strong team that you said was down to their third stringers and fourth stringers.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, you and I could probably go out there and maybe give USC a run for the money. I don't know.
Well, maybe me.
Maybe you. Well,
yeah,
again,
me and some former teammates.
You and some former teammates. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
no.
I don't need to remind you, do I, about my all conference honorable mention award in high school?
Yeah.
I've told you that before, right?
When the off season, I want you to run some routes for me. I want to throw some passes to you. Just want to see these magic hands of yours.
Oh yeah, I can't wait for you to see the greatness before you. It's going to be amazing. We'll make a video out of that. So,
okay. All right. Good.
Oh, that's good stuff. Okay. Let's see. So we do a segment each week. We started a couple weeks ago doing a tip of the cap, hats off to a player and a team. You want to go first, Todd?
Sure, I'll go first. So, no, you know what? I want you to go first. Go first with your team.
You want me? Okay, all right, yeah. You want me to outdo you after you?
No,
yours, right?
No, not at all. Just go first with your team.
Okay, I'll go first. All right, my team. Tip of the cap this week is Arizona. Arizona beating Oregon State 27-24. That is 2 weeks in a row now that Arizona has taken down a ranked team in their conference. This team is for real, and I'm going for a third week next week as they play. Who they play next week? I already forgot who they play, but they're going to win. It's another ranked opponent. It might be USC. Is they playing USC next week?
No, Washington plays USC next week.
Okay, whoever they're playing, Arizona is going to beat them. That's 2 upsets in a row over a ranked team. Noah Furtado, whatever his last name is, was super accurate, 275 yards, 3 touchdowns. Their kicker kicked a 51-yard field goal. This is a team that wants to win. They're finding a way to win. And so I'm sold on Arizona. Jed Fish, Pac-12 Coach of the Year. Let's go.
All right. I like it. That's a good pick. So my team that I'm tipping my cap to is Northwestern. They are 4-4 right now. This is a team that went 1-11 last year. They had the turmoil and the removal of Pat Fitzgerald. David Braun took over as the interim head coach. David Braun this time last year was the defensive coordinator at North Dakota State. And he took the job at Northwestern to be the defensive coordinator. Next thing you know, he's elevated to head coach. And I mean, nobody's expecting them to do anything. And he has done a great job. They've won 4 games. I mean, they are still amazingly kind of in the hunt in the Big Ten West. And they play Iowa this week at Wrigley Field, which will be really cool to have a football game there. But yeah, my tip of the cap is to them. Their quarterback, Brendan Sullivan, probably had his best game of the season, threw for 265 yards and 2 touchdowns, added 56 yards rushing. So my tip of the cap is to the Northwestern Wildcats.
Fantastic. Love it. Northwestern, even though Northwestern's in the Midwest, they've gone with Northwestern as their name, which is fine. Yeah, it's the Northwestern part of somewhere, I'm sure. Okay, tip of the cap. Player for me, tip of the cap to quarterback Haynes King from Georgia Tech. As they took out
North Carolina,
UNC there in a game. And he was 23 of 30, 287 yards, 4 touchdowns, but he also had 90 rushing yards, almost 100 yards rushing. They scored 24 points in the second quarter and 22 points in the fourth quarter. No points in the first or third quarter. They just wait till the second half of that half is like this crunch time. We better score some points. So they did it. And Georgia Tech as a team rushed for 348 yards, which is just remarkable. And Haynes made a key pass there towards the end to help seal the victory. But very cool for Georgia Tech upsetting UNC. Of course, upsetting UNC apparently is something that people do now pretty often.
Yeah.
But anyways, Haynes King.
Yeah, Haynes King had a great game. That was, if you like offense, that was the game to watch. I mean, Georgia Tech had 635 yards of offense. North Carolina had 577 yards. So, I mean, it was just up and down the field by both teams. Okay, so the reason I want you to go first on your team, because I knew your team was Arizona, and my tip of the cap player is not Frittata, but Noah Fafita, who is the quarterback. He was not the starting quarterback when the year began. He had to come in when there was an injury, and he took over in week 5 against Washington, and he has played lights out. And you mentioned 275 yards and 3 touchdowns. Arizona under Jed Fish is 1 win away from being bowl eligible for the first time in 6 years. So, and the same is true for Nebraska and Matt Rule. Nebraska has won 3 games in a row. They haven't done that in 6 years. They haven't been to a bowl game in 6 years. And both those teams are 1 win away from being bowl eligible.
Yeah. Amazing. Love it. All right. Tip of the cap. Good times there. Haynes King and what's his name again?
Noah Fafita. Okay.
Yeah. Got it.
So speaking of fajita, well, not really fajita, but the game I was at, I was at Wisconsin, Madison,
you call
Wisconsin.
Football games. I forget you call football games.
I was at Ohio State, Wisconsin. It was a really good football game. Great atmosphere. I don't know if you've ever been to Madison or not, but it's a great college town. The jump around in between the third and fourth quarter, night game, Halloween weekend. So it was extra edgy in there. And Ohio State had their hands full. It was a 1-score game up until about 5.5 minutes left, coming off of that emotional win over Penn State. And but their defense played great again. And their offense is going to continue to get better because this week they got Travion Henderson back, their best running back. He ran for 162 yards and 2 touchdowns, including the game-winning touchdown that really broke the game open in the fourth quarter. And then next week they'll probably get Emeka Egbuka back, their other wide receiver. Marvin Harrison was great as usual. Another 6 catches for 150 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So Ohio State looked really good in a tough environment, and they won. But the other thing I love about going to Madison is there is a restaurant right across the street from the stadium called Mickey's Dairy Bar. And I go there and I order this thing right here. It's called the Scrambler. So look at that. The underneath layer is all like hash brown potatoes that are just crispy and fantastic. 3 eggs over the top, and then any kind of meat you want. So I usually get bacon and sausage on mine. I've got some spinach and some green things in there just to make it appear somewhat healthy. And then, of course, as I think everything in the state of Wisconsin it's just covered with melted cheddar cheese. And that was my breakfast Friday. And then I made one critical error. I ate the Scrambler, no problem, but they also have phenomenal milkshakes there. And I got a milkshake, a chocolate banana milkshake after this, and it literally put me into a food coma. And I did not eat another meal until the next day. So
I was going to ask you if you ate again that day.
No, I did not. I could not. I mean, I couldn't hardly even get up off my bed. I mean, literally. So, but that right there is pretty awesome. Yeah.
Incredible. For those of you that are listening and not looking, it is a sight to behold, and I would love to just dig into it. Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, would you like to see what my pregame meal was on Saturday? Because when I did eat again, I got another meal from Mickey's, and this was hand delivered for me. Now, this is not for everyone. This is liver and onions, which I love. Beef liver and onions, but it's covered with bacon also, and then more hash browns with more cheddar cheese, and and of course gravy comes with everything. I think gravy doesn't come with the milkshakes, but I think gravy comes with just about everything else at Mickey's. So those are my two. I was so excited. Hey, that's the only reason I work out at all is so that I can eat what I want to eat.
Absolutely.
That's what it comes down to.
Same. That's and if you put bacon on anything, it's automatically better.
Right. It's a win.
I could wrap a stick in bacon and just eat it all. Oh, that's fine. I'll eat it all. I'll gnaw on that thing all day long. Give me some bacon, baby. That's awesome. So good. The people love seeing the food stuff, man. That's awesome. Love. All right. Then I'm going with you on your next one. Okay. I'm gonna eat.
Yeah. Come on. Come with me. Yeah.
All right. I'm coming. Like Dion said, I'm coming.
Yeah, I'm coming.
We're coming up to Madison. All right, so that's great. Some other big news this week. A lot of news headlines going on here coming out of Ann Arbor, Michigan. We talked about it last week, but some things have changed a little bit since then. This whole sign stealing issue, Spygate, as they're calling it, going on. We got Connor Stallions, this kid that works for Michigan. He's popping up at every game around the country. He was spotted supposedly in a Central Michigan sideline, spying on Michigan State, and I don't know what's going on. There's all kinds of stuff. We got technology coming into the play with things. We got all kinds of things going on. It's too much for me because I'm not very smart and I can't handle all this kind of stuff. So, you want to update us on where this is at, and is Michigan? How guilty is Michigan? Do they need some penalties? I feel like Tony Petitia is going to have to at some point start looking at that as a possibility.
Well, look, I think I may have said this last week. If they broke the rules, if they obviously broke the rules, then there should be consequences that they have to deal with. And it's appearing more and more like they, blatantly broke the rules of both in-person scouting, which you can't do, and using some forms of technology or recording devices to record, signals from teams on the sideline. So, and then, the information that continues to come out is just that this was, at first you're thinking, maybe it's just this one guy just overzealous, did this, but it does seem like he had, kind of an elaborate network set up, and they were, buying tickets and buying plane tickets and, and had other people doing it. So it's ugly, it's a mess. It's obviously, and the sad part to me, because I'm going up there to do the game this week, my game's on Michigan. And, so the last time I did the Michigan game, it had just come out and there wasn't that much to talk about because there wasn't that much known. Now there's more known. But I still don't know what's going to happen. It's unprecedented. The NCAA has never investigated a case like this for sign stealing. The Big Ten does have some autonomy to do something, but I don't think they have the evidence in front of them the way the NCAA does right now. So, and they typically take a long time to move on anything. So, will something happen this year? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But I think something will happen, and I'll go one step further. I will be surprised if Jim Harbaugh is not off to the NFL at the end of this season, if he has the opportunity, and will not be back at Michigan. But it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to be up there. Yeah, I kind of felt that before anyway, because he was not happy about how NIL stuff was affecting college football. He's kind of an old school, just ball coach guy. And so I'll be a little bit surprised if he's back. Yeah. And then you saw the other news this week was that Michigan was prepared to make him the highest paid coach in the Big Ten. And now they've rescinded that offer. In the light of all this, they decided, well, we're going to hold off on that. So,
we can't have a huge, check to pay out to Jim Harbaugh and possibly some fines and other repercussions coming our way if that happens. He could be back in the NFL. I think he would do fine there. But he's right now, mum's the word. He's pleading the fifth. He's not said a word that I know of, right?
No, they released a statement and. And look, I like Jim. I really do. I've known him for a long time. His dad and my dad are really good friends. They grew up together in Canton. They coached together. Jim played for the Colts when my dad was the offensive line coach there. So I've known him, and I think he's an excellent football coach. He's won everywhere he's been. He won with the University of San Diego. He won at Stanford when nobody else could. He won at the 49ers, and he's winning here big in Michigan. So he can coach. He's an excellent coach. And so but the hardest thing in his statement, he said he denies any knowledge of this going on. And, that's, I don't know. I don't know how, if it's as elaborate as it sounds like it is, it seems almost impossible or unbelievable that he would not know anything about it. So
yeah. Well, I'm not a coach, so I don't know what to say about that. But how could you not know? And if you don't know, that does say quite a bit about the management of the team and the staff. Like, how did you let something like that go without knowing? And if you do know and you kind of turn the other way, it just, I don't know. I love Jim Harbaugh from what I know of him, and as an outsider, I think he's fantastic, and would love to play for him if I can, if I use my extra eligibility that I have, from college. Yeah, he would be a coach that I would want to play for sure. But we'll see how it all plays out. But I would hate for them to have this big run and potentially, win the whole thing this year, which they can do, and then have it vacated later. And have it vacated.
And see, the other thing about this, and this is the case anytime the NCAA, there's any kind of sanctions, is, the people that suffer have nothing to do with it. The players, right. JJ McCarthy and Blake Corum and, Zach Zinner, the offensive lineman who decided to come back instead of go to the NFL, to try to make one more run at the national championship. All those guys, they have nothing to do with this, right? Yeah. And they're just going out there trying to play ball. And so it'd be a shame if something happens that affects them. But that's normally the way it goes with the NCAA. I'm just curious, because they've been an unstoppable force so far this year, and they've actually gotten better. Like, their margin of victory has gotten better and better over the last 4 or 5 weeks. Now they just are coming off a bye week. They're playing Purdue, who's struggling. But I'm just curious if the noise, there's so much noise in the system about this. And, when they're in the football building, you can shield them from what they hear and the narratives they hear or see. But as soon as they leave there, they can't, and it's all over social media. So it's all on their phones and people talking to them and calling them. So I'm just curious if that's starting to wear on the players a little bit or not. So far it has not, but I haven't seen them for a couple weeks.
Yeah, man. Well, we'll keep track of that here on the Man in Black podcast, where you get everybody gets their college football news here from our podcast. So we'll make sure everybody's in the know about what's going on moving forward. That's a joke. I don't know anything, but Todd knows a few things. Okay. Let's get to this upcoming slate. We've only got a few games here. Maybe there's some great games, but here's a few that I wanted to go over. You may have a couple more, but Missouri at Georgia.
Yeah.
Does Missouri have a shot in where to win this football game?
They have a shot. I mean, they've got a good team. I think this will be one of the best offenses that Georgia has faced so far. I don't know how they'll be defensively. I think that if the game was in Columbia, Missouri, it would be a much better opportunity for the Tigers. Athens, it'll be very tough for them to go into Athens and get a win.
Yeah, absolutely. I see some points being scored here for sure. But I'm with you. I don't think Missouri's got quite what it takes yet. Now they're building a pretty good program there. I'm impressed with Todd Drinkwitz, what he's doing. And, we'll see what happens as we keep going. But okay, I'm going to be picking. I'll be picking Georgia on this. Are you picking? Do you want to pick?
I'm gonna pick Georgia. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Okay. We've also got you mentioned earlier Washington at USC. Yeah. Washington coming in as, I don't know what the line is here, but probably favorites. I would imagine, and I think Washington gets it done. I think USC, like you said, they're struggling so much, almost lost their third game in a row to Cal, for crying out loud. So I don't think they can handle Michael Penix in that offense.
Yeah, I think Washington will win as well. However, I want to say this about Washington. Ever since they had that dramatic, great win over Oregon, they have not looked the same. They've not scored as many points. They've had to kind of fight to win a couple games against teams that they should have handled easily. I don't know where they're at. And this is what I think. Even though they beat Oregon, I see Oregon after that game as getting stronger and better. I think Oregon is a more complete team than Washington. Even though Washington's undefeated and Oregon's got the one loss, I think if they would play again at the end of the season, like in the Pac-12 championship game, I think Oregon would beat them. I think their defense is a little stronger. But anyway, Washington still has a chance to to be the leader in the Pac-12, to stay undefeated and stay very much a part of the college football playoff conversation.
Do you think playing there in the Coliseum is going to give USC a significant advantage? I mean, I know you've probably been there, and you think that's going to help them at all? Not really?
I mean, it's always nicer to play at home, but it's such a big stadium, and SC doesn't draw all that great, and especially since they've lost a couple games. And part of it is just there's so much other things to do in LA, so I mean, to get people to go to a college football game, instead of going to the beach or going to a concert or doing this, or it's hard. It's because it's not a college town, obviously. Now, like if you go play at Washington and Seattle, that stadium is loud and there's a definite home field advantage. You go to Oregon, that place is loud, definite home field advantage. You go play USC in the Coliseum or play UCLA in the Rose Bowl, it's not that big of a factor.
Now, a bunch of Californians out there just hanging out, just chilling, living the good life in the sunshine. Yeah, you can see it in their, in the stadium when they're cheering for their team. They're like, "Oh, that's good."
Yeah.
That's good. But in other teams, Big Ten, SEC, you're going nuts. People are going crazy. Like this is their life. It's different.
Well, and they're front runners too. I mean, seriously, because there's so many other things to do and so many other even sports that compete against USC and UCLA football. The fact if they were undefeated and Caleb Williams was still part of the Heisman Trophy front runners, then maybe that'd be different with an undefeated Washington coming in and a battle of two unbeatens. That would be big. They'd have all the celebrities down on the sideline, guys like Snoop Dogg and Will Ferrell and all those guys that showed up to USC games when they were rolling. And it would be like that now, but they've got 2 losses. And so a lot of those people said, nah, I'd rather go watch the Lakers play, or I'd rather, go do this, watch the Clippers, or,
you got 2 other NFL teams there now.
Right.
I mean, back in the Matt Leinart days and Reggie Bush days, there was a moment there when they didn't have any team. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, they were the NFL team. USC was the NFL team. And that's, they all came out, and that's, probably was some part of their success in some way. So, okay. Another big game coming up here in the SEC West, LSU at Alabama. This is a big one. And a lot of people are going to be pretty high to take LSU, maybe going in there to get it done. And I tend to agree. I'm a big fan of Jaden Daniels. I think he's amazing. And I'm a big fan of how they score points, and their defense is up and down, but I think Alabama again, they keep finding ways to win, but I think at some point somebody's going to get them. They've already been gotten once, but I think there's somebody's going to get them again. I think LSU gets them. Yeah,
well, nobody's gotten them in the league yet, so they're in the driver's seat, control their own destiny. Their one loss was to Texas. I would say LSU has been more consistent on offense by far than Alabama has. Jalen Milroe's been up and down. He's got incredible athletic talent, and he shows that at times. He also shows that he makes mistakes. Jaden Daniels is playing as well as anybody in college football. You said LSU's defense is up and down. I think they've been mostly down. I mean, they're not playing defense like you're accustomed to seeing in Baton Rouge. And because of that, I think Alabama will win this game in Tuscaloosa, because I think Alabama is playing great defense right now. And so I would rather take a great defense to try to slow down Jaden Daniels than LSU's defense trying to stop Alabama at home.
Okay. Yeah, it's a great analysis. I mean, if you can stop Jaden Daniels, you've stopped LSU. I mean, really, and you're going to win that football game. Yeah, that's great. That's great. That's all of our games.
Well, I got a couple I want to throw. Yeah, I got a couple more that are intriguing to me. The first one is Oklahoma at Oklahoma State. It's called the Bedlam game.
Bedlam, yeah.
And it's probably going to be the last Bedlam game we ever see. They've played for 117 years. With Oklahoma now going to the SEC, there's going to be a lot of hard feelings with people in Stillwater, because they feel like Oklahoma betrayed them and left without them and all this. And Oklahoma's coming off of a really difficult loss a week ago to Kansas. What kind of a hangover will there be coming out of that game? And Oklahoma State is surging. And they are playing really right now. Ollie Gordon, their running back, had 270 some yards this past week. I mean, he's running like crazy. He's running like Barry Sanders and Thurman Thomas and all those great runners that they've had at Oklahoma State. So that will be a very heated. It's always a great rivalry game, and there'll be extra emotion this year because it will be the last. So to me, that's a fun game. And then we talked about the SEC West with Alabama and LSU. There's another one that's intriguing to me, which is A&M at Ole Miss, because Ole Miss is sitting there at 7-1, and they've already played Alabama and LSU. They split, lost to Alabama, beat LSU. A&M is not a great team, but they're capable of beating anybody if they play their game. So we'll see. We'll get a better idea what Ole Miss is all about this week, and then next week they go play at Georgia. And we'll really get an idea of what Ole Miss has. And then the last game that I'm interested in is Ohio State at Rutgers. It's a noon game on CBS. On paper, Rutgers is going to be an underdog clearly, but Greg Schiano's done a great job with that team. They're 6-2. They're bowl eligible. They're solid. They can run the football. They can play defense. They don't throw it very well. And that's the problem they're going to have, because Ohio State's defense is very good, and you can't be one-dimensional and hope to have a chance to beat them. That was what we saw with both Penn State and Wisconsin. The last two opponents for Ohio State, they couldn't manufacture enough in the passing game to even threaten the defense. So, but it's going to be, I would expect it'll be a great crowd, a great environment for Rutgers, to celebrate kind of where their team is, and they're bowl bound, and you're bringing the number 3 team in the country in Ohio State. So should be fun to watch.
Yeah, going to be a good game. I tend to think Ohio State, wins that, but I keep wondering if there's a game when Ohio State gets tripped up, and I kept thinking maybe Rutgers, as I've seen them kind of play, and thinking, wow, they got a pretty good squad. Wisconsin, I kind of felt the same way about, but I don't see enough, to say, Ohio State's not going to be able to get this done unless they do something completely out of character. Yeah. I don't see that happening. So.
Yeah. And Wisconsin, in all fairness, their best player is their running back, Braylon Allen. And when he got hurt and had to come out of the game, they didn't have the same threat posed to the Ohio State defense, because, he's a difference maker and he's their best player. And when he went down offensively, Wisconsin was really, really limited.
Yeah, absolutely. Great analysis, Todd Blackledge. It's a good thing I got you on this show.
Yeah.
Otherwise, nobody would watch.
That's because you're paying me the big bucks. So I'm thrilled to be here.
Yeah. I also paid you to say a bunch of nice things about me, but you haven't gotten to that part yet. Maybe that'll be later in the podcast.
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah, you could keep hoping, Josh. Okay. So we got some college football playoff rankings coming out. Of course, I do my top 25 every week.
Yeah, right.
Some people would say at this point, after the first 6, it doesn't matter technically, but I mean, the other teams, they matter still further down in the top 25. But here's my top 25. Not much different than last week. This top 5 stays the same, I think, from what I had. I bumped Oregon up there one because I keep getting impressed by them every time I see them play. Yeah. Like you said, getting stronger after their loss to Washington. And if they hadn't lost to Washington, I would have them at 5 over Washington. But they did lose. And then Texas, Bama. I still got Penn State up there, and I got Ole Miss in the top 10 for now. Louisville, and I added for JMU still in there. Got them at 25. You told me last week they were a little high at 20, which is probably true. Got them back at 25, and I've worked in Fresno State because I don't know. I watched them play a little bit, and I thought, all right. I just want to give them a little bit of love. I don't, rather than Kansas State or Miami or somebody, like, all right, let's give Fresno State some love. So I bumped them in there. Someone told me I should have taken North Carolina out of my top 25. That's probably true. Boy, it's been rough going for them. But maybe just out of some fond feelings for Mac Brown, I left them in there. But what do you see here as far as this goes? And then we can translate this to the college football playoff. Who do you think is going to be in there in that top 4?
Yeah, I think I feel good about everything you have there. Other than, again, I told you before, I don't. Penn State struggled with Indiana this past week. I don't know if they're worthy of being in the top 10. You could make a case for Ole Miss or Oklahoma, Oklahoma still being in the top 10, even though they lost to Kansas. But I think the rest of it looks pretty good, Fresno State. Yeah. And you're right. I don't think North Carolina, they probably, if anything, maybe 25.
Right.
And Air Force, hey, Air Force, JMU, and Liberty all just keep winning. They're all still undefeated, and they deserve to be recognized as well.
They do. I love to see it. Love to see those teams winning like that. Okay, so when the college football playoff comes out tonight, and by the time people are watching this, they may already have come out. But for the record, we are recording this before it comes out. But who do you think the top 4 teams are going to be? And are they who you think they should be, or are they the same? Who do you think they should be the same as who they will be? What do you think?
Well, I'll tell you, I think that I think it will probably be those same 4 teams that are in your top 4. I think Ohio State might be ahead of Michigan only because their schedule has been a little bit tougher than Michigan's. They've got a good win on the road at Notre Dame. They have a good win over a top 10 ranked Penn State. So I think their strength of schedule, when the committee takes all that into account, I think that will put them above Michigan, even though Michigan's playing great, but they just haven't had the same level of competition. Their tough games are still to come. Okay. But I think it'll be Georgia, and then Ohio State, and then Michigan, and then Florida State. I think that'll be the top 4. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
What about you?
I think the same. I think it'll be Georgia, and then either Michigan, Ohio State, 2 and 3 somehow there, and then Florida State, and then the next 2 I'm thinking would be Washington, and I think Alabama would be the 6th one in there, and that's I would love to see Oregon in there, but at 6, but I think it'll be Alabama.
Yeah, I think it might be, but I wouldn't be surprised if it is Oregon. I think the reputation and the way people think about the Pac-12 right now is pretty high. That the competition is high this year. The way that Bo Nix is playing and the way that they've been playing here since they lost to Washington, I wouldn't be shocked if it's Washington and Oregon are the next 2 teams.
Yeah, it'll be cool, and it's great to see him come out for the first time. But of course, when Ohio State and Michigan play, what's that going to do? Does the one-loss team get to stay in there, or do they have to bow out? I love how it all unfolds. The drama gets exciting this time of year, and it only increases. I was looking at the College Football Power Index. ESPN puts out their FPI, and I've never really spent a lot of time looking at it. But when you look at this, which I guess is really supposed to be an evaluation of teams, going forward, right? I don't even really understand the index.
I've never understood it, and part of me thinks it's silly. But
what's the
it's some made up metric, some made up kind of statistical metric that
because if you look at the FPI, it's got Ohio State at 1, Michigan at 2. Then you go down, you got Penn State above Georgia and Florida State and Oklahoma. You've got Washington down at 14, Kansas State up at 12. It's just complete chaos. I don't know how these metrics are figured out, but it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I tend to think that I love the coaches poll. I feel like coaches know a lot lot than most people do. So I love
if they watch games. Yeah. If the ones that pay attention, or they have other people fill them in,
Yeah.
So,
right.
Yeah. But
this will be fun. All right. College football playoff.
First, and you know what? The first one comes out tonight or Tuesday. And the thing I love about the college football playoff is this is when we should start to rank teams. And I told you this before. That's why I don't like preseason polls. I don't like ranking teams in September because you don't know who's for real. Now we have an idea who's for real and who can really play, right? Who was overrated, who was underrated. Now we know. So now the first one comes out, but the only one that really matters is the last one. I mean, The first one is great, but the last one is the one that really matters the most.
If you had to guess, how many of these four that we think will be in there do you think will be in there to end? It's possible that none of them are in there.
Yeah.
I mean,
but it's also possible that all four are in.
Yeah.
And I could see that too.
Yeah.
The only thing is if you have a one-loss Big Ten team that did not win the conference championship and a one-loss Pac-12 team that does win their conference championship, in this year, last year you had two teams from the Big Ten in. This year, that might be one of those teams would be a Pac-12 team. And again, this is assuming you have an undefeated Georgia, which is no guarantee, and an undefeated Florida State out of the ACC. In that scenario, with a one-loss Oregon or Washington versus a one-loss Michigan or Ohio State, I think you might get the Pac-12 in. And they haven't had anybody in since 2016. So the first year of the playoff was 2014. Oregon was in it. In 2016, Washington was in it. And there has not been a Pac-12 team in it since then. So it'd be kind of cool to have one in this year since there is no more Pac-12 after this year.
Right.
It'd be kind of a nice way to say goodbye to the conference,
That's right. See ya. We're leaving you. This is the Pac-4 after this. Okay. All right. We'll do it very quickly. We're going to do a little segment that I've called Ask Todd.
It's time to ask Todd.
And this question goes hand in hand with what we were just talking about. I've got people in my little top 25 that are chiming in saying Georgia and Michigan are both overrated, shouldn't even be in the top 5 because they haven't played anybody. All right. Well, our question here is, with Michigan's schedule thus far, and you can say Georgia here as well, do we really know how good they actually are?
Yeah, well, we know how talented they are. Okay, so maybe we don't know how good they are playing another high caliber national championship caliber team, but this is an extremely talented football team on both sides of the ball. They have a quarterback who's playing at an elite level. They have good players on all levels of their offense, all levels of their defense. So they are a really good team. But we'll find out. They go to Penn State in a couple weeks, and then they play at home against Ohio State at the end. And we'll know for sure at that point how good they really are. But they are as talented as they've ever been under Jim Harbaugh.
Absolutely. They got, running backs, just falling out of their roster. They got, like you said, McCarthy. He's a great quarterback. And this FPI thing that I don't understand, one thing I did notice is that Michigan is number one highest in offensive and defensive efficiency, both of those. I don't even know what that means, but it sounded important, and they're at the top. So sounds like even if they're not playing the hardest teams, they're beating these lower teams solidly, and they're doing it well. So
now I'll say this now, and again, I'm not saying Nebraska is a good, a high level football team.
Right.
I think they're going to get to a bowl game this year. I think Matt Rule's doing a great job, but they got pummeled at home by Michigan, like 45-7. Okay. And ever since that game, Nebraska has won 3 in a row, and they have held their opponents to 10 points per game. So they're playing great defense. But that night in Lincoln, they got just knocked around like they were little boys, and couldn't stop Michigan at all. So, that was an impressive win to me. And, look, Michigan can only play the people that are on their schedule, right? I mean, they can't do anything about it. And so, and like I said, we'll get a chance to see it here down the road because they play Maryland too, who I used to think Maryland was going to have a great year, and then they lost to Illinois with a game that I did. Then they had a bye week. They had some guys hurt in the Illinois game, so I'm like, okay, well, I can accept that because we knew they were missing some key guys. But then they had a week off, and they went to Northwestern and got beat by Northwestern this past week. So now they come home and host Penn State. So we'll see what they look like this week.
Yeah. All right. Very good stuff. All right. Our final segment for this episode is Would You Rather? And we've got 3 would you rathers for you. One is related to college football. The other 2 are not. So we're going to learn a little bit about Todd Blackledge and myself. So first, would you rather question? All right. Would you rather have a run heavy or a pass heavy team? Like, let's say your offense is pretty divided. Like, you really can't run the ball at all, but you have an awesome air attack. Or you can't throw the ball hardly at all, but you have a great running attack. Which of those would you rather have if you're a coach or a team? What's better?
Well, I would prefer a run-heavy team if I was given those 2 choices. And I was a quarterback who loved to throw the football. However, I'm a Midwestern guy, grew up in Ohio, played in Pennsylvania for college. And when you get to this time of year, late October, early November, the weather is not very good. And when you have to deal with weather, whether it's rain or cold or wind, it's a lot easier to be a great running football team and to depend on that running and stopping the run than it is to throw the football. So because of that, and particularly playing where I played in college in my career, I would prefer to be a run-heavy team.
Yeah, that's great. I would say the same thing. Even though I'm a receiver from high school, I always wanted us to throw it every play. But running, the ability to run sets up the pass as well a lot of times. So,
yeah.
Okay, second question. Would you rather, if you could time travel, all right, which would be amazing, would you rather travel to the future or to the past at any length of time? 5 years, 10 minutes, 150 years, forward or backward? If you can only do one, which way would you go?
Backwards. I would like to go to the past. Yeah. I really like history and military history, in particular. So I would like to go back and see some of that, talk to some of the Ulysses S. Grant, or Robert E. Lee, or really love the Civil War history, or even further back. I think that would be cool.
Back in the days of Washington and the Revolution, be able to see some of that stuff, or back to even as recent as World War II, and be in the Situation Room with Winston Churchill. If you could, that'd be pretty sweet. That'd be pretty cool. That's good. It's a good answer, Todd, because you're not tempted to see what's ahead. You're not worried about it. Whatever happens. If the world's here in 25 years, great. If it's not, then oh well. But we're going to go back and learn some things. I like that.
Yeah. And you, what would you rather do?
I think I'm a huge history buff. I minored in history in college on accident because I took so many electives that were history classes. So I would tend to go back. I think I would want to go to the future, like the sensationalism of that experience would be like, I want to see what the world's like in 100 years. But I love history too much. If I could go back and meet these people and be part of that and see that would be, that'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll go together. We'll go together. We'll go back and check all that stuff out.
Yeah.
All right. Last, would you rather, do 30 minutes of stand-up comedy or 30 minutes of jazzercise? All right. You've got 30 minutes on your hands with nothing to do. And someone's telling you either got to get up to the mic and do stand-up comedy in front of a crowd, or we're going to put you in a jazzercise class and you're going to do that for 30 minutes. If you had to pick one of those.
Yeah. So I've never done either. And my opinion would be that both would be excruciatingly painful. So if I had to choose, I'm going to choose the jazzercise actually, because I don't know what I would do if I started getting heckled. If I was doing comedy and, I got heckled and nobody laughed at my jokes. I mean, I don't know if I could deal with that.
If you were getting heckled, do you think you would would you buckle? Like, would your tendency to be like, oh my, like, right, tears, or would it be like fighting? Like, I'm going to fight you right now because you said that.
No, I'd probably neither. I don't think I would break down and cry, and I don't think that I would want to fight. But I'm a people pleaser. I want the people to be happy. I want them. So yeah. It'd probably be tough for me. I may be a little bit too thin-skinned for that. I don't know. Yeah.
Well,
but you could tell me, right? I mean, because you kind of know all about people maybe not laughing at jokes, right?
I know all about that. Yeah. happens to me on a daily basis. It's easier. I do some stand up, and I've not been heckled too bad at all. It's been pretty easy as far as that goes. But the heckling on the internet still happens, so that's easier to deal with. You just be like, whatever, and just go on.
Right.
But, I would love to see you doing some jazzercise. That'd be great. So, all listeners, you just picture Todd Blackledge doing jazzercise right now.
I could do jazzy hands.
Jazz hands. That's right.
Jazz hands. Yeah.
Yeah. Spirit fingers as well. You got spirit fingers? I got 3 daughters. They all know about spirit fingers because they're all cheerleaders. And
spirit fingers. I didn't even know what that meant when you said it. I just did it. I had no idea what I was doing.
I just led you down there. You never knew where you might be going, and you tested me blindly with
right.
Spirit fingers. I got 3 cheerleaders and 4 cheerleaders in my house, so I know all about spirit fingers.
Gotcha.
All right. Well, final thoughts from Todd Blackledge. What do you got for us? Any final words of wisdom?
No, man, I think we hit it. It's we're going into the month of November, and the games in November are the ones people remember. That's the way it goes, because now's when teams make their final push. So it's going to be great. It's been a really fun season so far, and it's going to get even more intense because the stakes go up in this month.
Absolutely. It's going to be a November to remember.
There you go.
We got some good stuff. All right, everybody, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Make sure that you are following us on social media so you can catch up with this stuff. And the YouTube YouTube video is where you find the full length video of this, as well as Facebook and Spotify, all those places. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And we'll see you next week on the Man in Black podcast.